In addition to the ballot issues, there are a lot of municipal elections on Tuesday's ballot, including the mayoral race in Colorado's third largest city, Aurora. Many school board races are breaking fundraising records, and campaigns have become as contested and dirty as any federal race. Michael, to compare anything to a federal race is not going to be a compliment, so the school board races are in difficult territory. And Aurora is facing a pretty big decision with if it goes partisan, which officially it's not partisan, but you have two Republicans and Mike Hoffman and Ryan Frazier that could split that if they think that way. You have Omar Montgomery. You have a couple other candidates, but it's going to be interesting to find out where that goes. Take your pick of all the different options here. What do you think?
Yeah, well, one, I think that local races are very important, both ballot issue-wise, school board, they make a lot of decisions on the school board level. I used to say, the way school board was happening in Jeffco and Dougco back, 4-8 years ago, it was as hard as a Senate campaign to do that. But I think these are the races that impact your life. The interesting thing is, in presidential years, you have 72% of the people that vote. Last year you had 62. This year you might have 33%. And so these issues that really matter to people, not a lot of people vote. But I think in Aurora, that's probably the most interesting one with the mayoral race. It's not it's not a runoff like it is in Denver, and so you just have to get a plurality of the vote. And looking at it, Kaufman is clearly the front runner, but he's well known in that area. But a lot of people don't like him. A lot of people do. There's a lot of strong opinions about him. He's obviously not a Trump fan. And so then you have some of the lower candidates like Marsha Burgeon's going after him, saying, that you're not Trump enough. And then Omar, is a Democrat, but wasn't really a heavy hitter going into this. And this is kind of their option right now. And so he, I think, is picking up steam at the end here. And then Ryan Frazier is well known, in the area too. And so I think it'll be really interesting to see, can anybody go and catch Kaufman during this? But school board are also really interesting in DPS and other places. So I'll be watching the local stuff almost as much as those statewide ballot initiatives.
Eric, a big mayor's race to the east, the school board races breaking all kinds of fundraising records all over town. Take your pick.
I think I'll focus on the Denver school board race, which has become just unbelievably hot, unbelievably nasty, unbelievably expensive. You have a candidate in the southeast Denver district, not even the city at large, and 1/5 of the city, who put in about $350,000 of his own money. To self-fund, I understand self-funders, if you're going to walk, let's look at our governor. You spend $20-30 million and you get to be governor of the state for 4 years. Maybe there's a return on investment there. What is the return on investment on buying a seat? This is a gentleman by the name of Scott Balderman, who's the teacher union candidate in southeast Denver, and he's put in, going on $400,000 total, including what he's given to some other candidates. It boggles the mind. My disgrace last week was some of the mailings that have been put out against a couple of the Latina female Hispanic candidates, Alexis Menacol-Harrigan, Diana Romero-Candle, where they've tried to take away their Latina identity and even anglicize or whitewash their faces to make them look less Latina. It's just despicable stuff. But the fact that these are contested, Denver has been a district that has generally been very reform friendly, and reform candidates have won these seats, not easily, but with not narrow margins for the better part of the last decade or two. And just the fact that the results are unknown now and the battle is really engaged tells you that the tide has churned a little bit in terms of public opinion.
Natasha, looking at the different municipal elections and the school board races, what's the most striking story that's come out in your eyes?
Well, I think that the conversations that started sort of earlier this year with the municipal election in Denver are continuing on a larger area, larger scale in the metro, but also still in Denver as well. We're seeing that in the school board. As mentioned, the Aurora race is going to be very interesting. I had a chance to interview all those candidates. They have some similarities and a lot of differences as well. One clarification, Ryan Frazier is unaffiliated and has been for a period of time. Looking at the school board race, there's an at-large position, so everyone in Denver is going to have a chance to vote for that, and the big topics of reform, what's good, what's works in our school district, charter schools, choice. These are topics that are only rising in urgency in the conversations around town, and they are at the forefront in all of these contests. But then don't forget, there's other language on the ballot as well related to, say, creating this Department of Transportation and a few other minor tweaks. So people may be apathetic in these sort of elections and not go to vote. I have a feeling that people watching the show probably are voting, but maybe this is a reminder to go out there and get some other people to vote. vote, because there are plenty of topics that are going to impact every level of our city and our state on the ballot this year.
Patty, what do all the movers and shakers that you regularly hang out with say that's going to happen with all these different races?
They're saying nothing, I have to say right now. But think about a snowstorm basically got Mayor McNichols out of office, and you wonder how much the snowstorm and the people who were very upset about the school cancellations, non-cancellations, that could actually have an effect on incumbents, especially in the various school districts. The fact that a couple different counties are looking at debrucing measures, more municipalities are looking at debrucing measures, that might have an effect on CC too, because it'll bring some people out to vote who might not have. Aurora is really going to be one to watch. I think it's going to be unlikely that Kaufman is beat, but that will depend a lot on the turnout. The town I'm going to be watching is Lakewood. Don't forget that Lakewood had that big anti-growth thing pass, even though they were incredibly outspent on it by the people who wanted to keep the status quo. That is a suburb that is booming into a city now, not unlike Aurora. And the mayor, who I think is doing a pretty good job, Adam Paul, is being challenged. It's gotten very ugly in Aurora, and that's going to be a big fight on Tuesday.